Hello everyone, it's King Sloth. Welcome back to another video. Well, this is technically a military video. I would not recommend, if you're faint-hearted, not to watch this one. I've been told this is probably one of the worst videos probably ever recorded. It's about Operation Searchlight, also known as the Bengali Genocide. I haven't watched the video yet, but I've been told to be wary. There are some disturbing clips, so once again, if you are of a squeamish nature and whatnot, make sure to not watch this one. Don't do it. I've watched enough stuff like this to get through it, but some images you can't unsee, especially because this was the first time I ever heard of it, and I've been told a little bit about what it's about. How I haven't heard of it beforehand is crazy, absolutely crazy. But you know, make sure to leave a like on the video anyway. Comment down below what you want to react to next. We're aiming for 4 cases at the end of the year, so let's get that done. But let's get into the video. This is going to be one of them ones. One of them deep ones, I think.
On the 26th of March 1971, the Pakistan government launched Operation Searchlight, beginning a military crackdown in East Pakistan, which is today Bangladesh. The aim of the operation was to stifle Bengali attempts to form their own state and see the deployment of genocidal tactics.
Yeah, because what I've learned is you had East and West Pakistan, but was separated by India in the middle. So you had the same country technically, but cut in half by India.
The Bengali Genocide of 1971 was the largest genocide since the Holocaust. In today's video, we will explore what led to Operation Searchlight, how many were massacred, and the consequences for the region.
Not how. Second biggest thing is the Holocaust, and I've never heard of it before.
Culturally different West and East Pakistan were formed.
There you go, look. So India in the middle.
The new state of Pakistan was in a rather bizarre situation. The two regions of East and West Pakistan were separated by the huge landmass of the newly independent India. Though geography was not the only thing that separated the two. In the west, it was largely occupied by Punjabis and Pashtuns, whilst in the east, it was the Bengalis.
So once again, it's a religion thing.
Held in the west, both militarily and politically.
The ethnic thing.
Being a larger number of people in East Pakistan, they held far fewer seats in the parliament, and were vastly underrepresented in the armed forces. We do have a video
so the West had the power.
That occurred during the Second World War, which highlights the region's importance in agricultural production. Much of the agricultural produce was diverted to satisfy the needs of the West, whilst little investment
the food that was made in the West, the East was sent to the West.
Exploited the region as a colony, so too did West Pakistan.
Wow.
Finally, Bengalis were treated as a lower class of people within Pakistani society. They were seen as a lower people, occupying a lower land, with dehumanization a common occurrence.
It's very,
in 1958,
very Nazi Germany sort of way of thinking.
Coup was launched against what was seen as the weak democratic forces in the country.
Abolished.
Soon enough, martial law was imposed, as the very machines of government were shifted over to the army. A presidential system was installed with the position
which should make sense. Military there to stop this shit going on.
In December of 1970, the first general elections since the independence of Pakistan were held. The elections were seen as a contest between
Students
the two
are
main
against
social democratic
united
parties.
against
The
US
West
imperialism.
Pakistan People's Party, the PPP, led by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and the East Pakistan Awami League, led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Whilst the Awami League was the only major party in the East,
look at how many there.
Contest with a large number of conservative and Islamist parties in the West. The result was a victory for the Awami League, who won an absolute majority of 160 seats of a possible 300 available. The response of the president,
yes, they got the majority seats.
Was the first not to recognise the results, as it could not be tolerated that an East Pakistan federal government would be formed. Instead, Khan called on the veteran Bengali politician Nurul Amin, setting him the goal of reaching a compromise and allowing the PPP more power than had been afforded to them by the electorate. This politicking only delayed the forming of the new government further.
Yeah, but if there's an election, you should stick with it, not just be like, I know they've won something, but we're going to take it away from them anyway.
The Awami League, based on their widespread support in the east, unilaterally declared independence, whilst the West Pakistan forces declared martial law and banned the League. But by February of 1971, President Khan had already decided on the course
got
of
elected,
action
then
that would be
banned.
taken. He was
Crazy.
quoted as saying, "Kill 3 million of them, and the rest will eat out of our hands." A key turning point was on the 1st of March 1971.
So let me get this right. So the West leader said, "Kill 3 million, and we'll have them under our control anyway." That's the leader. Lead of the government. So just kill them. They're not gonna follow us. We'll just kill them. Not do what we want. Kill them. It's madness.
When the opening of the Pakistan National Assembly was postponed by President Khan. Groups of ethnic Biharis, who were Indian Muslims that lived in East Pakistan but supported West Pakistan governance, were attacked by Bengalis. By the end of March 1971, a total of 300 Biharis were murdered by Bengali mobs. These attacks would be used by West Pakistan forces as a justification for what would be named Operation Searchlight.
This
began on the 25th of
this
March
is where it becomes weird.
1971.
So what you've had there is a leader ruined the democracy of that area. The Bengali have then kicked off, made mobs, been aggressive. Obviously not the correct answer, but what else you went to do? You went the democratic way, and then that's happened. They a mob, and then now West Pakistan are going to do something crazy.
The express goal of the operation was to eliminate the Awami League along with any civilians and military personnel who supported the Bengali self-determination movement.
Hold on.
Key targets
So,
were members of the cultural and
so the
political
party,
elites,
the military,
notably
and civilians who
university
support the group.
professors and politically active students. On the first night of the
Students.
operation, the Pakistani army struck a number of targets, including Dhaka University, the headquarters of the East Pakistan Rifles, and areas of Dhaka that had a large Hindu population. It is estimated that around 7,000 people were killed on the first night alone. This coincided
Just
with a number
invaded.
of foreign journalists
Just
being
invaded
deported
the
from East Pakistan. In
technically
a bid
their
to
own
stifle
country,
the
they
youth
invaded.
into the rest of the
They were
world,
Bengali.
though enough remained.
That's
The initial reports
crazy.
of the violence on the streets of Dhaka led to more journalists witnessing the horrors. One quote from the Times magazine reporter is as follows: "The soldiers set sections of the old city ablaze with flamethrowers and then machine-gunned thousands as they tried to escape the cordon of fire. Nearly 25 blocks have been bulldozed clear,
Oh
leaving
my
open
God.
areas set incongruously amid jam-packed slums."
So just
These types of
burnt
clearances
them
were
all out and then
put in
killed them
place,
when they tried to
utilizing
run.
fire, machine guns, and bulldozers to root out those who were supportive of Bangladesh secession.
It's disgusting.
It
These
was not
people
just
have.
Bengali
Some people have lived there for
secessionists who were the
years.
targets of
Got
Operation
family
Searchlight.
homes just gone.
As early as
Just
the
gone in a day.
27th of March,
Set alight and then
1971,
killed for trying to
Hindus
run.
were also massacred by the Pakistan Army. One notable example being the demolition of the Ramna Kali Mandir Hindu temple, where around 1,000 people, including Muslims, were massacred. It was commonplace when the Pakistan armed forces searched through a city or village.
They raided the church and killed 1,000 people in it. Well, raided the temple with 1,000 people in it. A place which is meant to be a safe haven for people who are struggling. And then you go there to get your prayers out, say your thanks, whatever you've got, ask for help. And you get massacred.
That they would inspect men as to whether or not they were circumcised, marking them either Muslim or Hindu. As is far too often the case in such examples of violence, attacks on women and girls were commonplace. It is widely accepted that between 200,000 and 400,000 women and girls were subject to serious SA. Some were even kidnapped and held prisoner as so-called comfort women to be assaulted by multiple soldiers. Following the issuing of a fatwa declaring that the Bengali
So they were made to be
Hindus
owned by
and
prostitutes.
that their women could be taken as the booty of war, justifications for assault
Booty of
emboldened
war.
many to commit serious attacks. This had the
And this isn't long ago. Let me have a look when this was again. Sorry, I just can't remember. Give me 2 seconds. When was it? this isn't even that long ago. This isn't 1971. And they're going, I'm going to take the women back, mate. They're mine, they're property of war.
The backing from a
What?
number of West Pakistan religious leaders. There are truly harrowing accounts of gang or systematic assaults on women, including one where a group of soldiers forced themselves upon a young bride in front of her groom. Such
disgusting.
accounts of family members being made to watch the assaults were all too common. In light of the massacres, assaults and
If you fight back, you get shot, you get set alight, you get...
people in East Pakistan fled their homes, with around 10 million seeking refuge in India. The exodus and movement of people was one of the largest in history, with a great many succumbing to illness and death as a result of the poorer conditions as refugees.
Poor conditions and heat alone.
Believed that any resistance to their operation would be temporary and minor. However, this proved not to be the case. The day after Operation Searchlight began, the independence of Bangladesh was declared by Sheikh Rahman, and this started the Bangladesh Liberation War. Bengali soldiers, along with civilians...
So, let me get this right. So, they're now separate. So now it's Pakistan versus Bengali. Or Bengal. That's Bengal there. They've got bows and arrows and sticks. Pakistan have flamethrowers, bulldozers, rifles, machine guns, grenades. And they're fighting a war against bow and arrows.
Volunteers started to defect.
I think it's a good idea.
Joined the resistance army known as the Mukti Bahini. The Mukti Bahini were often armed with weapons and additional training supplied by India.
Kids with weapons to defend their country.
To act as guerrilla fighters, utilizing raids and ambushes, limiting access to infrastructure, and isolating the West Pakistan forces. Whilst the guerrilla fighters did achieve some victories, they very often failed to make meaningful gains in offences that were launched. This would soon change when
once again the differences at the start, because they said
December 1971, following a preemptive attack
because they said that the West have all the near enough all the military.
With the groundwork set in place by the Mukti Bahini, the Indian forces were able to quickly outmaneuver the Pakistan forces, prompting their surrender on the 17th of December 1971. West Pakistan was left reeling for not only in their failed attempt to knock India out of the conflict, but that they had been defeated within 2 weeks. Khan's dictatorship soon collapsed, and paved the way for the head of the PPP, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, to seize control of the state. As the West
you failed, let me give it a try.
A scorched earth policy was adopted, and in one final series of acts, they looked to kill thousands of Bengali elites. Doctors, engineers, writers, lawyers were all picked out in the final acts of the genocide. After the war,
trying to talk about the top tier of people.
Their own reign of terror on Bahari villages, with hundreds of civilians killed in a grim echo to the violence during the genocide.
Oh my God.
Those Bahari militiamen who worked alongside the West Pakistan military were reportedly often killed by the Mukti Bahini forces upon surrender. The estimations as to the death toll...
Yeah, because you've attacked their near enough their homeland and they defend themselves, but then capturing and then killing them. It's a way of, I guess, their way of saying, just stop now. Stop attacking us. This is what's going to happen.
The lower estimates start at 26,000 dead, which comes from an official Pakistani government investigation. Third-party estimates
that's come from the Pakistani government.
From as low as 50,000 to as high as 2
my
million.
God!
There is, however, no doubt that atrocities were commonplace, including serious SA, deportation, and the slaughter of civilians carried out by the Pakistani army and their auxiliary militias.
Yeah, because even if you were a civilian, you supported... Because if you're from that home area and you grew up around Bengali, and you're like, do you support them? Of course I support them. I support people. Like I could have husbands, sons who are fighting. Do you support them? Yeah, of course. Dead. It's crazy.
Often disputed is that these actions constituted as a genocide, both against the Bengalis and the Hindus of East Pakistan. For the countless women attacked during the war, there has been an attempt to reconcile the abuses inflicted upon them. One example being the Ami Birangona Bolchi, which translates to, I, the heroine, speak. It is a collection of accounts and interviews with survivors, collected by Nelia Ibrahim. The work attempts to alleviate any social stigma the women might face in the society and to give a voice to the survivors in an attempt to
because
a link to the site.
Because it's not their fault at all. This is what's happened to them because West Pakistan wanted to do something, they weren't going to do it. The abuse these people must have suffered must have been horrendous. But people, obviously, in their cultures as well, feel like they can't carry on with their life. They're not worthy, I guess, the best way of putting it. That's what they must think. But they're wrong. And obviously, this Nelima Ibrahim puts it out there like it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. These things happen. It shouldn't happen, but
will be found in the description. What cannot be understated is the role the Cold War played in the conflict. Khan's military regime was favoured by the United States President Nixon as a way to combat Soviet influence in the region. When Operation Searchlight began, the American consulate to Dhaka, Archer Blood, had borne witness to the massacres at Dhaka University. His telegrams to the White House even described what was occurring as a genocide. Yet no denunciation was made by Nixon. In fact, during the conflict, weapons were still indirectly supplied to Pakistan by the United States, utilizing...
So the American official who's there has told the president what's going on. But because he's like, well, we're already selling them weapons, so we might as well continue doing that anyway. Might as well continue doing that. And then you know what's going on, and you have no mention to bring it up. You don't want to bring it up. There's a massive genocide going on around the world, and they're using your weapons.
Third-party countries such as Jordan and Iran as the go-between. There are those in Pakistan who have called for an unconditional apology to Bangladesh, along with an acknowledgement that a genocide took place. And some call for an independent United Nations investigation to be carried out. Whilst India did compile documents on those suspected of committing war crimes, these prisoners were exchanged with Pakistan by Bangladesh as a part of the Delhi Agreement, which sought to establish recognition of Bangladesh and facilitate the exchange of prisoners of war. In the 2000s,
all the women that captured and abused doesn't include the amount that they'd killed.
The genocide, notably being Bahari Muslims. These men were all members of the Jamaati Islami Party, a Bihari Muslim group who fought alongside the Pakistan Armed Forces. These trials, however, were mired in controversy due to the political influence and that those facing trials were all members of political opposition. The West Pakistan military conflated the definitions of Hindu...
So, on trial, guaranteed to get executed. Some shit like that, that's what would happen.
Bengali and Indian ethnicities, which resulted in all Bengalis becoming suspected of being a traitor. The tumultuous years following the breakup of British India were never truly healed, with resentments between the various states spilling over into the genocide in 1971. The Bangladesh genocide
in 1971
is not often discussed, though it is a subject that I would invite you to look further into. Links will be in the description for a number of sources for those who are interested to learn more.
I almost don't feel like I almost feel like I don't want to learn more, but also at the same time, how have I never heard of that? How have I never heard of this going on, considering it's not been that long? 1971 is not long at all. It's like 50 years. It's just over 50 years. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So what it seems to me is West Pakistan wanting to go for they wanted to have a democratic vote to decide who gets what, who does what happens. East got loads of seats, but rather than being like, okay, democracy is its part, we'll stick with what the people want, let's go with that. But nah, we're gonna go and kill them all. What? You requested the vote, you got the vote, and then you kill them. Yeah. The whole thing is crazy. And guarantee, you know, that some people are still alive who've been through that. It's not like when it comes to like World War One, when you can see the like the horror. But you know, no, you know, no one's alive to like still recount and relive. And whereas this, because it's so recent, guarantee you've got so many now children who are products of the West invading the East because they were sexually assaulted. That's crazy in my eyes. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, these sort of videos I can do more of because I do find them very interesting. And it's just, it's one of them. It's one of them. It's very interesting. It's nothing that I can glorify, nothing I can say will make anything better. But at least now, that's not going on. At least from what I know, it's not going on. And I hope to not see anything like that go on ever again in our lifetime. I can't deal with it. But anyway, it has been King Sloth. Make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Peace.